Michigan football just got incredible injury news and some other news on top of it. So let's talk about it. My name's Paul. Together with my buddy Aaron, we are the Big Ten guys. Tune in every day for the latest Big Ten news, insights, and analysis. If you're a fan of Michigan or any Big Ten football team, don't miss out. Take just a quick second, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Got a lot more Michigan and Big Ten content coming. So before I get into the big news, comment below your thoughts on the game. I'm going to talk about some news and then stick around for the end of this video. I think we need to have a serious talk about Chiron Moore. But before we get into that, we did get a fantastic injury update on Jordan Marshall. If you haven't caught the show before, I am a Michigan fan. Aaron's a Michigan State fan, but we talk all things Big Ten. So I try to stay unbiased, but I mean, watching this game, I was freaking out when Jordan Marshall went down. I mean, that looked like a broken collarbone or an AC joint or something that would put him out for the year. And it's like, the guys behind him played pretty well, but I don't know how many more running back injuries we can take. Marshall has been so good, and it's just hard to imagine us beating Ohio State without him and Justice Haynes. But after the game, Chiron Moore was asked if the injury was serious. He said no. Said just got x-rays, feels like he's in a good place. He's going to get a nice ice bath. Make sure he gets the best masseuse in town. They can take care of them. I can't pay for that, obviously. Let him handle that. We don't want to get sanctioned and vacate wins like Michigan State did. They got plenty to handle that, take care of them, and get them ready for these games that we've got coming up. So it sounds like he really avoided major injury, and maybe he can even play next week against Maryland. Maybe it's a bruised shoulder and they choose to rest him. I think they can handle Maryland without him, but he's got to be back for that Ohio State game. And the initial report on it seems like nothing major, and there's no reason to believe he won't be back for that. But other bits of good news, not sure who watched, but Oklahoma knocked off number 4 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. This is obviously great for Michigan because that is one of Michigan's losses this year. And I mean, Oklahoma should be knocking on the door of the top 5 after this win and firmly in the playoffs. And then same thing with USC, had a big win over Iowa. Things looked ugly early, but now all of a sudden USC is 8-2. They should be top 15 after this week, and both of Michigan's losses now are on the road against teams that are either in the playoffs or right there knocking on the door of the playoffs. USC plays at Oregon next week, so I'll be pulling hard for the Trojans to pull the upset there and have Michigan's only 2 losses be against playoff teams. So that's the good news and from the game and after the game. What I loved from the game before I get negative here is, Jordan Marshall crushed it, and Bryce Underwood, the turnovers were ugly, but this was one of the better games I've seen him throw the football. And then obviously Andrew Marsh, just a straight dog. Like, that's one of the better Michigan receiving performances I've seen in a long time. Hopefully they can keep feeding him like that. But I do think we need to have a talk about Chiron Moore. Yes, they're 8-2. Yes, they're starting freshmen at, their quarterback's a freshman, their best receiver's a freshman. They got a lot of injuries. I get that. They're 8-2 despite that. But it just feels like every single game Michigan plays, they're outcoached and they look unprepared. This was coming off an ugly game against Purdue, and then you have 2 weeks to prepare for it. And it just seems like every time they try to pull a trick play out or call some sort of unique play, it blows up in their face. Just looking at the team stats from this game, it's just an abomination. This game should not have been close. Michigan had 250 more yards of total offense, 5 turnovers, 2 missed field goals. Obviously, you can't put the missed field goals on Chiron Moore, but then there's 2 third and shorts, they jumped off sides. Like, they just look undisciplined. And, like, yeah, I guarantee people are going to come in the comments and be like, Chiron Moore didn't fumble the football. Chiron Moore didn't throw the pick. But it's like Chiron Moore keeps putting Samaj Morgan out there. Like, the guy has 75 drops on the year, is in the wrong position all the time, barely ever fields punts. I can't think of a single positive thing I've seen from Samaj Morgan in a month, and yet he's still out there every week. That fumble, even though it seemed like Samaj got back on it and he had it at the end of the fumble. I don't really know what happened there, but that fumble is on Chiron Moore. Samaj has no business being out there at this point, especially not on punt return. And then it's like that 4th and 1, you have a 6'4", 240-pound quarterback, and you need like 6 inches, and you put him way back in the shotgun. And, it's not Chiron's fault that they fumbled the snap, but just a terrible play. And then the other fumble to Andrew Marsh. Again, it's like they had just had back-to-back-to-back big runs. The defense is gassed. Like, Michigan has them right where they want them. Just pound Marshall on the way to the end zone. But instead, they try to get cute. It blows up on them. There's a fumble. And it's just like, this game should have been Michigan winning by 4 touchdowns. Like, it was that big of a difference in terms of yardage and like first downs and stuff. But just the boneheaded turnovers, the lack of discipline, I think that goes back on Chiron. And you look at Michigan's season this year, and this is an incredibly bad statistic for you Chiron Moore lovers out there, but Michigan has covered the spread 3 times this year. They did it against Washington. He was there for that. That was a good game, probably the best I've seen them play this year. But the other 2 games that they covered the spread were the games that he was suspended. And I feel like those were 2 of Michigan. One of them was Central. But, Michigan has struggled with bad teams all year. The one time they didn't struggle against a bad team was when Chiron was sitting at home. And they've been struggling on the road all year. But the one time they came out and had a big-time road win, Chiron was sitting at home. This is an undisciplined team, and it just feels like every single game they're in, they are coached worse than the other team is. And, I get it. He is a freshman at QB, but you look at, the Big Ten statistics. Bryce Underwood has less passing yards than Drake Lindsey, true freshman. Malik Washington, true freshman. He has less touchdowns. With how talented Bryce is, it just feels like he's never put in a good spot. And I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I've been very frustrated with Chiron this year. It's hard to fire a coach. It's very, if they just do what they're supposed to do, they're going to be 9-2 heading into the Ohio State game. Maybe they even make the playoffs still. Maybe they go 9-3 and go to a good bowl game. But, you can't tell me you are watching this team this year and be like, oh, this is a great coached football team. Because it's not. It is a very poorly coached football team. And, do I really think they're competing for a natty this year? No. They got injuries everywhere. They got freshmen everywhere. But I don't know that I feel comfortable next year when the team should be much better. I don't know that I feel super confident that Chiron should be the guy to do it. I love Chiron. He's a fantastic human being. The players love him. He just seems like an all-around great guy. But it just feels like every week this team is out-coached and is sloppy and is making big-time mistakes. And at some point, you got to pull back the curtain and be like, who does that fall back on? And it's Chiron. And I'll be curious to see what happens the rest of the year. Of course, if he beats Ohio State again and makes the playoffs, he's not going anywhere. And it's hard to imagine him going anywhere, even if they lose to Ohio State and go 9-3. But I know I'm not alone watching this team and feeling like they are poorly coached every single week. So you guys let me know what you think. Am I being too hard on him? Are they better than I'm giving them credit for? Or are you with me where it just feels like this team is poorly coached and underachieving where they could be every single week. You guys let me know what you think, and then any other thoughts from the game you might have. And then don't forget, just like and subscribe on the way out.